Welcome to Beth's Happy Home. Lately, I've been asked several times why people store wheat for long-term storage, and there are several good reasons. And we'll start with the least important, which is also very important, and that is whole wheat bread is delicious. And I bet that if you learn how to make whole wheat bread, or if you don't already, that you would agree with me that if you had to live on something like whole wheat bread, that would not be a bad life. I'm adding a little slathering of butter, and I'm adding a dose of my plum vanilla jam. You can see the recipe for that in my Gourmet Jam for Pennies video. And who would not want to live on this in an emergency? Soft, warm, wonderful. The second reason to store wheat is that it's very inexpensive. A 45-pound bucket like this was $15 at Costco, so that comes to 33 cents a pound. And as a nutritious food, that's very, very low cost. If you can't get it at your local Costco, I suggest talking to them and asking them to buy it and bring it to your store, because they have the ability to ship foods all over the place. And I put this into this bucket, which is the bucket that I keep in my pantry, because I have put this plastic lid that has a screw off top on this particular bucket. So I dump it out of the container that it comes in, whether it's a sack or a bucket, and put it into this one so that I have the convenience of the screw on and off top. I bought this online for about $7, and you can just search that, and I think they're consistently $7 anywhere you look. Another good reason, an important reason, is the long shelf life. Wheat has been found in the ancient tombs of Egypt, and they have opened the amphoras that were sealed with beeswax and found that the wheat inside would still sprout because it still had its vitality in it. And it was thousands of years old. So it has a very long shelf life, and I have had wheat that I have stored for 30 years, and it was perfectly fine when I went to use it, and perfectly delicious also. If you grind the wheat, then it has a very short shelf life of 6 months or less, because that mixes the starch and the fat that's in the wheat, and then the fat becomes rancid. So you don't want to grind it first. You want to store it in its whole grain form, because it's kind of packaged perfectly by nature to last a long time. Whole grain is also filling, and this bread is hearty. It's got a lot of fiber in it. It's got a lot of protein in it. This white wheat has anywhere from 12 to 15% of protein, and protein is what is filling, and it's really ideal to get your protein from plant products, because a lot of meat carries a lot of other things that you don't want, like cholesterol and saturated fats and things that are not good for your body in large amounts. So the last thing is that wheat is very highly nutritious. It's got a whole list of vitamins and minerals, as well as the protein that I mentioned. It's the majority of the nutrition from wheat is from the carbohydrate in the main part of the starchy part of the grain. But it also has a lot of fiber in it, which is ideal for gut health. It also has a little bit of fat in it, and as I mentioned before, that can go rancid if you grind it, but so it has all three of the macronutrients: fat, protein, and carbohydrate. And so that makes it kind of a superfood for storage. So it's cheap, it lasts a long time, it's highly nutritious, it's delicious, and it's going to be very filling and satisfying. So the other part of the story is that you're going to need a grinder. If you're going to buy a bunch of wheat, you're going to need a grinder. So they are going to cost you somewhere around $250. I've done a comparison of the various grinders on another video that I urge you to look up if you're interested in doing this. And once you have a grinder, it will grind tons and tons of wheat all by itself. Mine that I've had more than 20 years, and it's still going strong. It does a great job still. So that's why you should store wheat. It has the sixth benefit of being able to be stored in a very small amount of space, considering the number of calories and the high nutrition that it has. So it is truly the ideal thing to store. Now, I'm not saying that you should exclusively store wheat, because you can store other grains as well, and other grains have other benefits. Like quinoa, for instance, is very high in protein. And so it's going to be even higher than the wheat. So if you want to store a variety of grains, I think that's a good idea, because they have different nutritional values. But wheat as your basis is going to be the least expensive and the most concentrated, easiest to use form of nutrition for long-term storage. Hey, I hope that you found this beneficial, and that you will stay tuned for other important information that's coming your way. Thanks for watching.